Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. We are live on YouTube, Facebook and X. Please do get involved in this edition. It is Christmas Eve and I am joined by my very good friend Ricky Norwood from Tea Talk and Tottenham. And of course, he is a regular here on this channel every single week. We thought we would just do a positive show. There is no script here this evening. This is just a positive show. Me and Ricky talking Tottenham. Ricky, first of all, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Merry Christmas to you, Chris, and all the family. Merry Christmas to everybody around the world that is watching and tuning in and that has liked and subscribed and commented in all of the shows, not just today. But thank you. I hope you're celebrating with good people. It's not about the presents under the tree. It's about the presence of the people around you. So make sure you enjoy it, embrace, and make those memories. Happy to be back on with you, bruv. I've missed your face, man. What's going on?
I know. We haven't done many shows together, actually, this season, have we?
I know, bruv. You've been hanging about with Bentley, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? You've chucked all of us lot to the side and you're hanging out with Bentley left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean?
That was a good trip. Take away the performance and that result up to Nottingham. That was a good laugh, actually. But
what was he
Ricky,
like, Chris? What was he
it was
like?
Amazing. Yeah, very entertaining, very full on, very loud.
Like a cheeky chappy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Looks like he's got a story and a joke ready to go.
Many, and I can't talk about it actually because in the short interview I did with him on the train on the way up, I said, can we talk about the stories? And I don't think any of them are. Well, I can't repeat any of them. So we'll wait until he comes on the podcast. It is going to happen. Okay. It is going to happen. But Ricky, I felt this conversation between you and I this evening is important because a lot of negativity. Again, there's been a lot of negativity during 2025, but let's start by talking about the real positive of this year of 2025, the Europa League win, our first trophy in 17 years, our first European trophy in 41 years. And I want to take you back to that moment of the parade. I was being interviewed by BBC. Me and you are standing there dancing in a plant pot. Incredible scenes, eh?
One of my favorite times, bro. One of my favorite times. And at that point, I was growing my hair. I'm trying to grow my hair and get it a little bit longer, right? Just for work and stuff like that. But at that time, it had got, I'd been jumping and laughing and singing and doing the most amount. That all the gel kind of sweated out of my. So by the time we was on BBC, bro, it was wafting about like a bloody flag. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. But what a day, bro. What a day. That is like one of my favorite days ever. And just the songs and the Waka Waka song always makes me smile. Seeing the boys on stage, seeing Sonny lift the trophy, even Ange's speech, it felt like he was talking to me. Do you know what I mean? When he's talking about season 3 and stuff like that. It felt like, and I feel that everybody that was there felt that too. It was a beautiful day, bro. And I just hope and pray that ain't the last of the good times coming to Tottenham, because what a day that was. And the way that we took over that high street, I couldn't believe how many people that was there. Do you still have the ticker tape?
Yeah.
It blew up, and then you was like, Rick, you want some in it? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do. So I grabbed a handful. I've still got mine upstairs. Have you still got yours?
Yeah. It's
Love that, bro.
Do you know the funniest thing as well is when I walk down the high road and just before you get to the ground where we go in on the left, On the right hand side is, of course, those flats and that famous plant pot that me and you were standing in. I always look over to the right every single time since that parade, and sort of give a smile. And if anyone was watching me, just looking over at a plant pot and smiling, they must think I'm absolutely mad. But what a day! What a day!
Listen,
but of course,
bro,
Ricky,
I do the same. I do the same.
Yeah, of course. A couple of days before, in Bilbao, I felt extremely confident going into that Manchester United game. Although it wasn't the best game in the world, it was just so important, wasn't it, that we put that trophy in the bag. Ange Postecoglou, who of course, is not Spurs anymore. We'll talk about that in a second. But he'd been telling all the fans, he'd been telling the media, a number of times, I'm going to win a trophy. I'm going to win a trophy in my second season, and he delivered.
He delivered, bro, and my goodness, did he back his own chat? But did we need and deserve that trophy? I mean, going into it, I mean, you was there in Bilbao, so you was there in the fan parks, you was there, in and amongst the fans. For me, it meant more to us. It meant more to us than it did to Man United. Man United wanted to win to get back into Champions League and to fix their leaky roof. Like, we wanted that trophy. That's what we wanted. Like, that's what we was after. We didn't. All right, cool. Champions League was the byproduct of that trophy, but we wanted the trophy. We wanted to lift it. We wanted to do it for Sonny. We wanted to do it for the team. We wanted to do it for that horrible season that we had. Full of injuries, full of setbacks, full of upheavals, full of turbulence. And Tottenham's used to turbulence, but this was a lot. It was a lot. So to go into that final I had 100% belief, bro. I had 100. The only thing that Man United had over us was it's Tottenham. That old saying, that old phrase that Ferguson said, a couple of years ago. That's the only thing that they had over us, and the joke that we'd never get it across the line. But you know what? We did it. We did it on that night, and to get that kind of weight off of our backs and to move forward in a lighter new version of Tottenham was the hope, wasn't it? So it was a tremendous night. I was in the stadium that night, Chris, and they put up the big screens and stuff on the pitch, but you could feel it was the closest that I got, but you could feel the tension in the stadium. You could feel the anticipation, you could feel the electricity, you could feel the excitement. And people talk about that Man United final being a boring final. I didn't really see it as a boring final because I was holding on for dear life every second. So it didn't feel like a bad game. It just felt like, come on, Tottenham. When we're going to do it? When we're going to do it? Come on, Tottenham. And then when we scored, it was unbelievable. And then, Mickey van der Ven off the line. And it was to hear that final whistle and for us to be triumphant was just out of this world, bro. What was it like being there for you?
Well, I think I've told you this story already, but I'll tell it again. At the end of every game, I always press record, and those videos that go out are extremely popular because for anyone who likes to watch, be a people person, you see so much. You see emotion, you see people unhappy, happy, lots of different emotions and feelings. And as soon as the full-time whistle went, and the added time just seemed to go on forever. But as soon as the referee blew that whistle, and some of the players were on their knees, and everyone was celebrating, and everyone around me had tears in their eyes, or tears were streaming down their face. And I thought I'd press record, and I don't really ever swear on any of these shows or anything. And the first words that come out of my mouth was, "We've effing done it." And I must have said it about 6 or 7 times. And then when I looked, I hadn't even pressed record. But who cares? Who cares about the videos? Because I tell you, look, goosebumps now. Honestly, being in Bilbao. And it's funny because the league position we were in at the time, and I know we'll talk about that, finishing 17th, but the league position we were in at the time, and some of the performances, clearly Ange put all the eggs in the basket of the Europa League. But when Ange walked towards the crowd before the game to do some media interviews with various TV companies, he got this huge cheer, and I absolutely love that, because Ange had gone through, having arguments with fans. He'd had a number of sort of ding dongs with a number of fans, home and away games, and that reception for him before the game was so important, I felt, and there was that real connection of the fans saying to the manager, "Please go and win us a trophy," and it was such a lovely moment. But yeah, it was incredible. I had some really good times with some really good friends out there and family. Obviously, my dad and my son were there. So 3 generations of Spurs fans seeing us lift this trophy after such a drought at Tottenham. And, just seeing everyone so happy, seeing the emotion, seeing, tears on everyone's faces. And it was just such a happy moment. And I'll tell you that parade 2 days ago with you guys as well was just... It's probably one of the best weeks of my life, actually. And it's funny, you kind of realize it when you look back, and at the time you're enjoying it, but when you look back at it, it's even more of a special moment. But I'm just so glad that we got over the line. And funny enough, you just mentioned it there when Ange said about season 3. In your opinion, should we have given Ange a season 3?
I mean, I said it at the time, Chris, and I said it, over those next weeks, that for me, of course, he should have deserved a season 3. In my thinking, I was like, it would be so damaging to sack him after winning, especially for Tottenham, right? So we've wanted to win a trophy, we've wanted to lift the trophy for so long. It got to the point where you stopped mentioning trophies. You used to mention trophies every season, bro. And then it got to the point where you just cut that out. You know what I mean? Of the pods and of the dialogues that you were speaking in. You'd mention it in jest. Do you know what I mean? Because you hadn't said it for so long.
The trophies are coming. That's what you used to say. The trophies are coming.
The trophies are coming. That's what you used to say, right? So for us to do that and for us to lift it, and for me, it was how the boys reacted to Ange and how the boys reacted to his speeches and to the challenge of the Europa League, seeing them so together in the darkest of times, right? Like I said, we had 13, 14, 15 injuries going on. We had 1 defender for I don't know how long. We had 4 goalkeepers throughout last season. And for him to kind of keep that going and to get glory at the end of it, I think it was dangerous. It was a dangerous precedent to kind of to sack him after that, because then you go, okay, cool. Whatever manager then comes in, well, what is the remit? What is the remit of success? What is the remit of, credit in the bank that gets you over and gets you through a hard time, if it's not a trophy? So for me, I saw the like I say, in the darkest of times when we was getting no results, how the team was still together, how they were still family orientated, how they still had everybody's back, how they believed in the football and they believed in Ange. And yes, results in the Premier League especially have to be better. Of course they do. But you could tell what was going on there, and you could tell that everybody, Ange and the team, had put all the eggs into the Europa League basket, and especially after the January. I think the January, and he came out and said it once he got sacked, but 1st of January we needed reinforcements, and we got Kinski, right, on January 1st, and then we needed reinforcements for that whole month, and then it got to the last day of that month and we got Intel and Danzo right at the end of it. So we'd missed a really busy period where some of them results might have gone the other way if they would have turned up earlier. But he said once he got sacked that he could tell from January that the club wanted him to go. And look at that. Look at what he done, bro. Look, like, that's what you call selfless. Do you know what I mean? He could have kept his job by kind of trying to put in the strongest Premier League team going and try and get a point or 3 points and get us a little bit higher up that table. Or, because of all of the injuries and because of all the upheaval, put it all into that Europa League basket and go, all right, and cool, let's go not only achieve top 4, basically, Champions League, but doing it while lifting a trophy. I mean, come on. Do you know what I mean? So he did say that the board kind of let him know at January that they were looking at someone else. And for him to kind of keep his chin up and keep that focus up and keep the goal ahead of him and keep that belief that we were going to win it was amazing. And I felt that he deserved a season 3 with, you know, a marginally fully fit squad and with some first team investment. You know, we only got Solanke the year before and Gray and Bergvall. So to go into this after winning, after having a galvanized squad, you know, hoping that the board back in with some first team players, I was hoping that he would have stayed to at least see it out until Christmas time, or, you know, or January, to see if he could have improved and if we could have seen more of the positive Ange football rather than the negative losing football. So that I hoped that he would have stayed and I would have kept him. That was my vote. But I totally understand where the board come from and where that set of fans come from, in the sense that the 22 league defeats is not good enough. So, but if you're going to get rid of him, then you've got to go higher for me. You've got to go with a manager that is going to push us on. Do you know what I mean? Not level us off, push us on. And, you know, I don't think we've got that as yet.
There's a few things that I find a little bit odd still, that Ange does get a lot of criticism, even though he won us the Europa League. I do feel like we hear the term Spurs finished 17th with 22 league defeats. We hear that term more than Spurs won the Europa League in 2025. When you're old and you've got grandkids, what are you going to tell them about 2025? How will you describe Tottenham's calendar year of 2025? Because when you look at our league stats, particularly at home, and we'll come on to talk about Thomas Frank in a minute, you know, our league form in 2025 is absolutely abysmal. 15 points out of a possible 54. We heard boos under Postecoglou. We heard boos under Thomas Frank so far this season. But of course, finishing with that prize, and I'll say it again, Ricky, when you looked to your left, your right, you know, we were in that position. We got there nice and early. You know, there were people on lampposts, there were people behind us, there were people on roofs, there were people absolutely everywhere. Wherever you looked, people were all over the place, and that was incredible. And I say goosebumps again talking about this. So how would you describe 2025 as a whole?
I would have said turbulent but triumphant. Do you know what I mean? Very much the Tottenham way. We never do it the easy way. We never do it when we're supposed to do it. We always do it the hard way, and when nobody believes in us. When it comes down to the description of most of the media or most of the pundits talking about the 22 league defeats, is because for a moment, Chris, we wasn't a joke no more. For a moment, it wasn't about Spursy. For a moment, it wasn't about being the butt of the football joke and the joke of the league. And I really feel that a lot of fans from other teams that really don't like Tottenham, well, they wasn't going to give it to us. Do you know what I mean? They'd prefer to speak about the 22 league defeats rather than the Europa League trophy, you know. And you know, if you came up against somebody who didn't win, and it's okay. So I was on set filming Aladdin, right, this year, and there was a sound guy. He was a boom mic guy, and he was from Italy. And I was wearing a Tottenham top. I can't remember which top I was wearing, but I've got a lot of Tottenham wardrobe, okay? As I'm sure all of you guys do as well, okay? So I'm on set and I'm walking through. I've got nothing to do with this guy. He's a new member, right? So I'd filmed already for 10 days at that point. And then there was a bit of a crew shift. Some had to go to another job and some new ones were coming in. So I'd never seen this guy. And I'm walking through the door. I'm going up to one of the sets and I'm walking through the door and he's like, Tottenham, yeah? And bruv, it stopped me in my tracks because you know me, I'm a polite mofo. Do you know what I mean? Yep. So I always give everybody time and love and energy unless you're going to try it. Do you know what I mean? So straight away, but the way in which he said it, right, it stopped me in my tracks. So I've come back and I'm like, yeah? What? He's like, well, you know, Tottenham, Spursy, they never win anything. I said, hold tight a minute. I said, it was only a couple of months ago that we won, bro. So I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I said, hold tight, 1 minute. What team do you support? And he's like, Inter Milan, right? Bro, luckily, because of Conte, mostly. But luckily, Inter didn't win nothing last year. Yeah. So I'm like, so what did you win? He's like, no, but the season. I said, we're not talking about season before. I said, what did you win? He's like, no. But Tottenham, you know, they're. I said, no, bruv. I said, when you win something, then you can come talk to me about Tottenham. But up until that point, don't talk to me. You didn't speak to me. You can't speak, bro. Maybe next year. Maybe if you win next year, then you can come find me and then we can have our little jokes. But up until that point, bro, we're European champions. So
yeah,
love, peace, and hair grease. I'll see you on set. Do you know what I mean, bro? So, but it is that thing. It is that thing that people love to chuck at us and is almost used to chucking at us. The same way we're used to chucking at the Gooners, they fall down at Christmas, right? You know, whatever they're doing, they normally fall down over Christmas. So as football banter, that's something that not only Tottenham, but other fans would give them as well, right? So a bit like that. But, you know, it was like we had just put a full stop on it. We had just kind of got rid of the tag and we could be proud and kind of go, look, we are Europa League champions. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, then we have a turbulent summer and then we go into the, you know, worse than what we was before sort of thing. So the league's enjoying having their Tottenham back. Not that we've got our Tottenham back, but they're enjoying having their jokes back. And I think sometimes that, you know, there's some fans out there that don't want to give us the credit where the credit was due. Some don't want to talk about the context of those 22 league defeats. Some don't want to talk about having one defender for 3-4 months. They don't want to talk about an 18-year-old in defence playing left back, right back, centre back. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about a 17-year-old in midfield. They don't, so they don't want to give us any credit or even kind of just a balanced opinion, really. Just you can say 22 league defeats. There's nothing you can change about that. But because we had 13, 14 injuries, and a lot of them were long-term injuries. They wasn't a muscle strain. It wasn't out for a game. It was out for 2-3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year at a time. So it's tough, Chris.
It's a crazy thing, Ricky, because do you believe that some Spurs fans would have preferred us to have finished, say, 8th, 9th, 10th in the Premier League table and sacrificed then winning the Europa League? It's a crazy scenario, isn't it? Because, you know, when you win a trophy, that can't ever be taken away from you in history. And, you know, a lot of players have said this as well in the Tottenham squad now. But, you know, league positions, you know, if I was to ask any viewer or listener now, you know, how many times did we finish in the top 4 and what seasons did we finish 4th, 3rd, 2nd, whatever? You know, unless you actually win something, no one's ever going to say, oh, yeah, well, it was a really good season in blah, 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 because we finished 3rd in the Premier League table. It's about trophies at the end of the day. And you know, one of our club mottos, the game is about the glory. You know, to dare is to do. It's about the trophies. I feel like Ange really got that. He got exactly what Tottenham were about, and he got exactly what Tottenham needed, and he delivered.
Yeah, and he very much believed in those things. If you look at his football, to dare is to do, he very much believed in those things, you know. So we would be all out attacking. I mean, Chris Craig has got all of the stats left, right, and centre of our attacking play and how many goals that we scored. And he was very much a front-footed, to dare is to do type of guy. You know, when it did click, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But, you know, when it didn't, it was also ugly. So I understand where some are coming from, but I think a lot of fans, there's some that are very close to me that got so angry with Ange. It wasn't about Tottenham winning anymore. It was about Ange winning, and they didn't want Ange to win. And I don't get that. I've had arguments left, right, and centre about that. Because it's about...
And you know what? I think me and you have agreed, and we're quite balanced on this, because although we won the Europa League, of course, we are not sitting here, you know, just applauding Ange for winning the Europa League. We would both say as well, you know, 22 league defeats is not good enough. But then I feel like we could sit here all day and night talking about, you know, the reasons why. You talked about the injuries. You know, some people are talking about Thomas Frank's injuries right now, the medical staff. You know, that's a whole new story. We could talk ages about that. You know, 22 league defeats is not good enough. But did he have a squad to be fighting on all fronts. You know, funny enough, Daniel Levy said that exact thing, didn't he? We want to be fighting on all fronts. Winning the Europa League now, we want more trophies. So in order for us to be fighting on all fronts, do you think that Spurs have ever been in a position to fight on all fronts under Ange Postecoglou? And, you know, funny enough, going into this brand new season under Thomas Frank, they use that phrase a lot. And, you know, Vinay, and of course the new structure of the board now, if we ever want to be in a position where we're fighting on all fronts, all these transfer windows, the medical issues at the football club needs to be a lot better, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, the medical kind of department has to be better, but I think you're right there at the beginning there, where I don't think we've had a squad that can fight on all fronts. You know, when Ange first came in, Harry Kane's gone. And we brought in Maddison and I can't remember who else, but it was like a first teamer and then loads of different gaps. We've had gaps. How long has a left back or a second left back been a gap? How long has a second left centre back been a gap? You know, we've spoken about this for time. We've spoken about, and as the years go on, the every time we kind of go 2 steps forward, we go 3 back because there's more gaps and there's more holes, and we need to improve those things. You know, so I don't think we've had a squad for a very long time that can compete on all fronts. Frank's had injuries this year, but I look at that defense and I go, you've had the back five for such a long time that the results and the performances should be so much better. If Ange had that defense for as long as Frank's had it, I don't think we would have been in 17th last season. You know, I really don't. I think we would have been better. I think we would have been like a 6th or a 7th, maybe. You know, and we would have complained that we didn't get into the top 4, but we got the trophy, so we can kind of circumvent that if we would have had that defense. But look, Frank at the beginning of the season, not only has he had the back five, you know, with Spence as left back mostly, your doggy's coming back, but he has had Paulinho as a 6th specialist that the fans and everybody was asking for a very long time.
Yeah. And
then they've spent money on 2 first team players, not kids, first team players for the first team in Kudus and Javi. So he's had a lot more than I think he's had a lot more than Mourinho. He's had a lot more than Conte. He's had a lot more than Nuno, and he's had a lot more than Ange. Because we was getting the young ones in. We had Sarr and Berg. You know, we was getting the young ones through at that point with Ange. So he's had a lot more to deal with, and he's got European champions on his hands as well. So when you've had a full pre-season and half a Premier League season going into Christmas, and we haven't, all we're hearing from him is excuses, and we haven't seen a performance, mate. We had a week where it was, what is it? Newcastle, Slavia Prague, Brentford. That was, and even then Newcastle, I really was upset with, if I'm honest with you. I was really upset with that performance, but okay, it was a stop the rot performance. So, and then we had 2 positive ones after that, but
yeah, it was a positive point, but it wasn't the greatest performance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Chris, I felt so I really do feel in my heart of hearts that Frank and this squad should be performing at a higher level and should be getting better results.
Yeah.
There is enough quality in that squad for us to be winning games, especially against some of the sides that were not anymore, but were below us. Even that Liverpool game, bro, they were there for the taking as well. And it was the performance was better than Chelsea and Lagunas, but we're only talking about 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game, you know, when we saw some football. And even then, I think that was out of frustration. I think it was the boys that were frustrated and they just went, you know what, forget this, let's just go. I don't think that was a tactic. I think that was the boys going, all right, let's go and do something because I've had enough. And the boys showed a bit of character, but I don't know, Chris. I just don't. I've got to the point with Frank. Chelsea was terrible for me. Chelsea was a massive wake-up call for me for what Frank was bringing to the table. Then the Gooners was diabolical. For me, that was a sackable offence, the Gooner game. And then you pick up a little bit, but then you come to Liverpool, which is another big side. You know, they are the champions at the moment, currently, of the Premier League. So you've got an opportunity to kind of go out there and show us what you're about, Frank, when you go up against a big side. Instead of saying how big they are and how strong they are and how many weapons they have, like, where are you talking about us and what we've got to bring to the table? You don't. And so it was a little bit better against Liverpool, but it was still not good enough, mate. It still really wasn't good enough. And it's drawing the fate. All I have is blind hope now. Of a result. I don't have faith that Frank's going to turn it around. You know, I've stopped trying to second guess what he's saying in press conferences. I think he's literal. When he says that there's only going to be 12 good games over a season, I think he's being literal. When he says we're going to lose, I think he's being literal. I don't think he's being metaphorical. I think he's being literal. When he describes a terrible game that you've gone to watch, Chris, that you've been in the crowd for, and he comes out and goes, no, we played well, I think he's being literal. Rather than being clever and rather than trying to protect his players, I think he's being literal. And so, you know,
I've never heard you talk about a manager like this.
I know, bro. And I don't want to be, I don't want to speak like this, bro. It's the last thing that I want to do. But he's given me nothing. I've got nothing to hold on to, mate. Nothing. I look at the boys. You know, I was talking there about Ange being, the boys under Ange being family orientated, being a bit like Spartans, having each other's back, regardless of the result. But we're going to go out there together and we're going to go make it happen. I look at the boys now, bro. I don't see it. I don't see it. This huddle palaver going off together at halftime. Well, against Nottingham Forest, I don't know whether you saw Kudus, but Kudus was gone. He didn't even go to the huddle. He was off down the tunnel. And then I think it was Archie Gray that was calling him back. And by the time that Archie Gray turned around to the huddle, they've broken off. They've had enough. You know, you look at the Van der Ven and the Spence walk-off. They've had enough. You look at Van der Ven getting the tactics the other day on a bit of paper. It wasn't so much the tactics. It was his face that I was reading, bro. He's looking at it and going, what are you talking? What? Oh, and then it's like, oh, and then the way that he scrunched it up and threw it away. Yes, we don't want the opposition to see it, yada, yada, yada. But the way in which he threw it away was like, oh, really? You know, and I don't know whether I'm reading that wrong, but these are the things that I'm seeing from the boys. Do you know what I mean? If I can't see it, and I've got no faith in Frank, he's not giving me nothing to hold on to, well, then I look at the boys. And if the boys are with him, then I'll be like, you know what? I can't see it right now, but the boys are with him. I don't know whether the boys are with him, Chris.
We'll come on to that.
What do you think?
Well,
you've seen the players, right? You've been up close and personal, and you've seen them on the bench, and you've seen some of the disarray and.
In an interview a couple of days ago, Kevin Danso said, "We're on the right track.
Okay.
We're going to have ups and downs, but we're on the right track." And then a couple of days ago as well, at Kids Hospital, Bentancur and Romero have come out and said that we want to win trophies. We want to win another trophy this season. Thomas Frank on a couple of occasions now has said, this is not a quick fix. At the start of the season, we heard from Daniel Levy saying that we want to be fighting on all fronts. We've heard various reports stating that the Lewis family, want to really go for it. And, they're Spurs fans. We want to win more trophies. Let me just say on Ange, Drew here in the comments says this Ange glazing needs to stop. There's quite a few comments like this. And I do find this, and I do find it a bit odd, the fact that whenever we say anything positive about a manager who lifted a European trophy for us, by the way, and only one of three managers to do so in our history, alongside Keith Birkinshaw and the great Bill Nicholson. I just find it really odd where people just don't give credit where it's due. People love to slag things off. And I tell you what, Ricky, the other day, I went up to someone in a shop because they'd done something really well. I won't bore you with the story, but when people do things well, people don't ever go up to them and say, well done on what you've done. It's only ever, I don't know whether it's just a modern day thing, 2025, everyone just want to slag everything think off. But I just hope to think on this channel where we give all the good things, we give all the positive things, and we also talk about the negative stuff and anything in between. I think it's very important to have that balance of you bring everything to the table. We've already spoken about the 22 league defeats, not good enough. But it's funny, Ricky, I'm in your camp as well, that when Ange said, and I think if you asked anyone who was at that parade, would you have given Ange a third season after he said it? I don't think there's any question or doubt about it. The majority of people, there might have been 1 or 2, 1 or 2% that have said no, but the majority of people there would have said, absolutely, we want a third season. So, but Tottenham, of course, made the change. Before we speak heavily about Thomas Frank, I just want to go back a little bit because I was out in Hong Kong and South Korea, and I watched the 2 open training sessions, one in each country. And one thing I really noticed is Thomas Frank was so hands-on with every single player. The way that he went round, I've never seen anything like it, actually. Very, very different to Ange. And it was, vastly different, of him blowing the whistle every 2 minutes, going over to a player, explaining exactly what he wanted. And what I also noticed is how much more defensive we were. One of the training games finished 0-0. And in an Ange Postecoglou training game, it would finish like 15-14. It would be like that. It would be ridiculous scoreline, right? Goals going in all over the place. It used to be crazy. And then one of these training sessions ended 0-0. And then the other training session that I watched in South Korea, that one ended 1-0. And I just thought, wow, I've never watched a training session, so intensely, because, it's a training session. You're just expecting goals to go in left, right, and centre. Richarlison missing chances left, right, and centre. That's pretty usual. But Son was the only person who scored in the training game. That's where I want to come on to talk about, because a couple of weeks ago, Son come back to London, come back to the Tottenham Stadium. Of course, he was at that parade. An incredible moment for him. Him. I don't know whether you remember what he said. I effing love you to the crowd. It was incredible. It was such a fantastic moment for all of us, at that parade. But Son returned before the Slavia Prague game in the Champions League to say goodbye. I was out in South Korea, luckily, to see his last game. I remember going up to Seoul Tower to do one of my vlogs, of these trips that I do. And I got to the top of Seoul Tower, and that's when the announcement came out. I think it would have been like in the middle of the night here in England. But the announcement came out, and I remember just feeling really weird, thinking, oh my God, Son is actually going. There was lots of speculation about Son possibly leaving in the summer, especially after winning the Europa League as captain as well. But what a moment, Son's career, 10 years at Spurs. I suppose if you're going to go out and you're going to leave a football club, what a way to leave of lifting that trophy. Ricky, I know I wanted to keep this as a positive show, and I do. Give me some of your favourite memories from Son, because, just to think of a couple myself, that goal against Chelsea at Wembley Stadium, and I've got goosebumps talking about this as well.
Me too.
The goal against Chelsea at Wembley, one fantastic goal. During COVID, the goal against Arsenal, that top corner, that trademark, me and you have spoken about these trademark Son goals so many times on particular podcasts as well. But he's given so much joy to the Spurs fans, hasn't he, from 2015 to 2025?
Sonny is just unbelievable, mate. Sonny is the closest thing for me to Ginola, and I don't mean skill wise. I mean like how much I love him. So Ginola was like my first love. Do you know what I mean? And for the same reasons, Sonny is like very, very close to that. It's not so much the goals, Chris. It's his class. It's the fact that he had heart. He loved us, the fans. Stayed with us through thick and thin. Every time that he was reported to be on the move somewhere, he would shut it down so quickly. Before it even became a rumor, before it even got to Fabrizio Romano, it was already shut down. Do you know what I mean?
We loved the club. He absolutely loved and adored the club.
he loved and adored the club, and he took on our rubbish as well. He took on the Spursy tag and tried to change that. You know, he took on the butt of the jokes and was like, "No, I'm here to represent." You know, Van der Ven done a interview on the Overlap not too long ago, where he spoke about coming to Spurs, and he spoke to his friend, and his friend was like, "Oh no, you don't want to go to Spurs. Spurs, they don't do nothing. They don't win nothing. They don't, you know what I mean? They're a joke of a side." That is the narrative of what happens when you come to Spurs, or if you're connected with Spurs. Sonny knew that, and he was determined to change that, and he done it with a smile, and with grace, and with heart, and with passion, and with focus, and with dedication, and with sacrifice. The amount of times that he played injured, the amount of times that he would be the one that we could count on to score or to make a difference. You know, you look at it, the years with Harry Kane, and they were the most formidable partnership, telepathic wise. You know, I think about that hat trick that he scored to win the Golden Boot. I can't remember who it was against. I want to say it was Norwich, but I can't remember. Chris, who was it against? It was last game of the season. Sonny got it was under Conte. We beat the Gooners a week before, or whatever that was, at home. And then the last game was against somebody. Basically, it was Sonny versus Salah for Golden Boot, and he ended up getting a hat trick. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was.
Who was it
Norwich
against?
City. It was.
Was it?
I think it was
Okay.
in a 5-0 win at Carrow Road.
Right. Yep, that's the one. Right. But you look at that, and you look at every single player playing for Sonny. Like, that's how much heart. Listen, in football, there's a lot of ego. You know what I mean? There's a lot of I'm the best. There's a lot of let me get my stats up. Let me get my assists up. Let me get my XG up. Make myself look even more attractive coming into the summer, whether that's for Tottenham or for another team to be transferred. And every single one of those players loved him so much that they was like, no, we're getting this for Sonny. We're going to make this happen. And I think he had, like, before he got that hat trick, he had 2 clear chances where he missed. And I was like, oh, is it going to happen? But they kept playing for him. You look at how much they played for him. That's amazing, bro. You know, it's not just Tottenham as well. You look at opposition players, how much they love Sonny. You know, we played Newcastle in Korea for his final game. And you look at the Newcastle players that loved Sonny. Gooners loved Sonny. You know, everybody loved him. And that's really, really special in today's world. He gave time not only to the dedication of winning and changing the trajectory of Tottenham, but he gave time to every man, woman, and child, and especially the kiddies. Do you know what I mean? Especially the young ones. You'd see them light up every time. So there's so many good things, and I do think that we're missing him this season. Yes, we need captains to stand up, and yes, we need the new class of 2025-26 to stand up. But there is definitely a connection missing there because Sonny's not there. Sonny was one that pulled everybody together. He pulled Cuti Romero together and Archie Gray. You know, one's a lovely young one. Do you know what I mean? And the other one's a crazy mid-aged one. But he would bring everybody together. The connection that he had with Sarr, I could go through the whole squad, but the connection that he had with the squad and the players that he played with, not only did they love him, but they respected him. He led by example, and he represented us so well wherever he went. For him to come back and say that he'll always be Spurs wherever he goes, and don't forget him, Chris. He said, "Don't forget me." You know, how could we ever forget Sonny, man? There's no way, mate. There is no way that we could forget you. On my keyring right now is a little mini Europa League trophy, and every time I look at that, I think of Sonny. Do you know what I mean? I don't normally get players' names on my back, right? It's from young. It's from young. My dad was always like, you know what I mean? You can get it, but like next season he might not be here, son. So I didn't used to get names on the back, but yeah, I've got a shirt with Sonny's name on the back, and I love him to pieces, and we miss him. But those that are there at the club right now, they need to take up the reins, and they need to not to try and emulate him, but to be the best that you can be within the club. Represent the club. Represent us. Represent yourself. You know, bring that togetherness, bring that brotherhood together in the squad, and that's what we need right now as well. So for all the goals, he scored so many goals. I could go through them, but for all the goals, yes, love you, Sonny. But it was more about your character and the man that you are, and how you walked, talked, and believed in us. You made me believe, bro. And I'm so happy that out of all the players that should have left with a trophy, and there are many, I'm so glad that he was the one that left with a trophy, with the captain's armband on, and he was the one to break that hoodoo.
That Norwich game that you were talking about, it was 5-0. Son scored 2, but he ended up with 23. 23 Premier League goals, winning the Golden Boot alongside Salah. Kane and Kulusevski got 2 in that game as well.
Right. Okay.
Talking about the number 7 shirt, and I completely agree with everything you said there about Son, Ricky. One of the nicest, if not the nicest guy that I've ever met connected to Tottenham, because he's always got time for everyone, the media. He's got time for the fans. You know, the amount of times that he has spent with the fans signing. You know, people come over from South Korea and all over the world. And I tell you what, I've had a couple of great trips to South Korea because, of course, Son was our player and then later captain. An incredible place to go to. If no one's ever been to South Korea, an incredible place to visit, and I'd highly recommend it. Of course, the number 7 shirt is now worn by Javi Simmons, who was signed in the summer as a statement signing. Spurs missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, and then, of course, Eberechi Eze. And, you know, before the January window opens, Semenyo has apparently said, you know, thanks very much for the interest, but no thanks. But we did sign Javi Simmons in the summer, taking over Son's number 7 shirt. What have you made of him? I'll be honest with you. I've seen a number of glimpses in games to think that this guy is going to be a real star, but of course he's got off to a very mixed start. You know, he's been on the sub bench a lot of time, which I actually think that Thomas Frank managed his minutes very well. But then, of course, you know, he's come back into the team against Liverpool. He got this red card. Some people have called it a reckless challenge. Some people have called it an accident. I don't think he meant any intent at all by it. I think it's just one of those things. And I must say that the slower you look at it, when you wind it down, it just looks worse and worse. But in real time, I think it was a yellow card. And I've seen these given as a yellow card. But, of course, when the referee is... or the game is being re-refereed by a VAR and they're telling him to go by the screen, you know, there's only one outcome. But what have you made of his overall time at Spurs so far? I know we're only a couple of months in, but what have you made of his time?
I think he is adapting. I think that, you know, I'm really excited to have Javi. I love Dutch football. I do. I've just got this thing with Dutch football and Dutch players that come to Tottenham as well. I just automatically love them. But Javi, I've watched for a long time. He's been one of those internet footballers. You know, you've seen his progress and you've seen what he can bring, not only to his international side, but to the club sides that he's played for before. So him coming into the Premier League, I knew it was going to take time for him to adapt, because every single team in the Premier League has pace, power, and aggression. He might have faced a couple of those sides in Germany, a couple of those sides in Spain, but it's not every week, right? But in the Premier League, it is. The thing is with Javi as well is that he has always been small, right? So whatever age group he's been in, from young, he has always been small. So he's been at Ajax, he's been at Barcelona, you know, he went to PSV, PSG, RB Leipzig. He's been all over the place, right? And every single time that he's been in there, whatever his age has been, all of the people that he's up against have been bigger and stronger. So for me, it's going to take him a little while to figure out the Premier League. But I think once he does, that those challenges that he receives will become far and few between, in the sense of that he'll be able to ride them. He'll be able to judge them a lot quicker. He'll be able to anticipate who's coming where, and he'll be able to show us what he's about. I think you're right there in Frank managing his minutes is probably the right thing to do. just to get him that. For people that are doubting him, always remember, and I'll go back to Sonny right now. After the first year of Sonny, he was looking to leave. And there were some of us Tottenham fans that wouldn't have been too upset if he would have left after that first year. But Poch convinced him and spoke to him, and he stayed, and then he went on to be the legend that he is, right? So it always takes a minute for players to adapt. And I think that once he does, he'll be fantastic. But there is a lot going on with the system of play that is not helping him. I think that the fact that we don't know what formation we're playing, how we're playing, are we conceding possession to hit on the counter? Are we trying to play front-footed? Are we just defensive? Are we looking to win? Are we looking to lose? I don't think these things have helped him. Because how many games have we had? I've been on a lot of pods, Chris, that there's been 0 XG in the first half and 0.78 in the second half of attempted goals or shots or attacking play, right? So
I'll never forget your reaction when we did the podcast after the Chelsea game, and I read the XG at 0.06, I think it was. Your reaction is like you almost shouted at me as if to say I got something wrong on the stats, and you couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, Chris. I thought it was a joke. I thought that somebody made a mistake on those stats. And you look at Javi in that Chelsea game. However much I want him to be the man, he had to be taken off in that game. You've got to remember that the Thomas started with Bergvall on the left. And after 2-3 minutes, he got concussion. And so Javi came on, but he was so lost in that game. He was so out-muscled in that game that he had to be taken off in that. And it takes a brave manager to take off a sub that you've brought on, even though he's had 60-odd minutes. But he deserved to be taken off at that point and allow a bit more adjustment for him. But yeah, I mean, those stats have been shocking me for weeks now. But like I said earlier, it's become literal, mate. So this is what we're seeing from Frank. This is what I've come to believe on Christmas Eve, halfway through the season, that these games is what Frank Ball is, and the good games that we've seen are the anomalies. Do you know what I mean? Are the moments where we've gone up against somebody that is, I don't know, less capable than us, but we've driven forward and we've shown some attacking play. It can happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen us play one-touch football. I've seen us play high press. I've seen us score high up the field. But it happens very far and few between. And I think that's hard for a creative player as well. When Xavi is on, which you saw, like the Brentford game was the best team game that I've seen us play so far. Like all over the pitch. The fact that Kudus and Xavi, they were swapping over. Whoever was on the left side as well, they were interchanging with the 10. Yeah, everybody. Archie Gray was fantastic, going from a third centre back to a 6 to an 8 to a 10. There was lots of things happening. Every time that we had an overlap, we passed that ball forward. The amount of times that I see us now, so there were good elements in that, but the amount of times that I see us now not putting a through ball in, especially when there's a clear runner and there's a clear gap. Yeah. Every time that we get onto the right side or the left side, we don't play the overlap. The runner's made it. He's done it. He's done all the work for you. Just give it to him. But we don't do it. We keep turning around and passing it back to Vic and then doing horseshoe football and then going around and recycling the ball and trying it on the other side. It's not inspiring, mate. It's not inspiring, and that's one of my biggest questions as well when it comes down to Frank, is like, who does he inspire? If I'm sitting at home and he doesn't inspire me, okay, cool. But like, you've got to inspire the boys. Do they look inspired? They don't to me, bro. They don't. They look like, you know what? Here's a great example. You mentioned the preseason. When in preseason, and Frank had his little kind of tactics board. I saw everybody's eyes, right? Everybody's eyes, they're all like this. They're all looking. They're right, boss, what do we need to do? Okay, All right, gotcha. And then you want us to do, okay, fine, gotcha, okay. And then they went.
Are they doing that anymore? Yeah.
They tried to implement that, bro. It happened. I don't know what game it was, but it was the other day. Within the last week. That I want to say it was. I can't remember. I want to say it was Nottingham Forest, but I can't remember. But there was a break in the first half. All right, there was something going on. There was a break in the first half. He's rushed everybody over. And everybody's standing there, and he's doing the same thing. Now, this is in game. This is 5 months into the season, and he's doing the same thing. He's got his tactics balls, and he's looking, and he's like, right, guys. And bro, and I don't know whether this is just me seeing it, and I could be seeing it wrong, but I saw everybody, and there was a few glimpses that looked at Frank, but I saw everybody almost like look at each other, as in to say like, hey, have a look, is he all right? It was almost like that, like,
yeah,
is he sure? Like,
yeah,
it was
you're not wrong,
eye, bro.
You're not wrong.
And that says a lot to me, Chris. Yeah,
and these huddles that were happening very frequent in at the start of the season, it is now a lot less.
So you look at all of these things and you kind of go, what are we talking about here? And when like some fans, they want to talk about Ange glazing or whatever. I personally feel, right, that if you're saying Ange Glazer, I would rebuttal to you and kind of say, why are you being an Ange hater? If we want to go that way, right? But to me, I think that there's a lot of fans that were so angry and had enough of Ange that they don't want to give him no credit. They don't want to say well done, because it got to the point, and football does this to us all, right? And it does this to me. I was having arguments with Johnny Bow. And the arguments that I have on this podcast, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
yep.
You know, so it does do it to you, and I get it from a fan's point of view. And I have arguments with my dad all the time, right? All the time.
Hold on. Talking about dads, literally, my dad has just messaged me, right? And this is what he said: I had to sit down. Ricky being so negative, I never thought I'd see the day. Things must be bad. That's what my dad just said.
I'm sorry, Pops. I'm sorry, mate. You know what? But I don't want to. You know me, Chris. I don't want to be this way. I wish I could find something. But at the same time, I don't want to just be positive for positive sake. Do you know what I mean? Just for being positive sake. I got slagged off last year. I was getting a lot of, you know what I mean, like some pelters last year for being positive after an Ange defeat or after a performance where I felt that the boys done well, but we lost. Right. So I was getting it last year for being positive in those moments. And, you know, and for me to be speaking like this, I'm getting it, you know, for speaking negatively, which is absolutely fine. It's everybody's right. But I don't know, Chris, mate. I don't know. I wish there was something. I wish there was something that I could hold on to from this Frank side. And even the January transfer window, it's starting to lose its kind of excitement for me as well. There's all this hope for January, but part of me is like, if we continue playing this style of football, which I can only see as, bro, I described it against Newcastle as relegation football. It was the style of relegation. You know, that's the only way that I could describe it. And so to see that, I'm like, I don't know where we go. This is up to Frank. This is a big, and I want him to prove me and everybody else wrong that is doubting him right now.
Yeah.
I want to be proven wrong. When I'm wrong, I don't mind saying that I'm wrong. I'm happy with that. Go on. We said
the same thing under Ange when results are bad and the performances are bad. We all want the same thing. No matter whether people are arguing or disagreeing or whatever people are saying, we all feel the same. We all want our club to win and we all want to be successful. And I completely agree with you. I want it to work under Thomas Frank. You know, do we want to go through another manager? Because I keep saying these same old lines on all of these media interviews that I do. You know, since 2019, including Poch, now up to Frank, 6 permanent managers in 6.5 years, plus the 3 interims, you know, Ryan Mason twice and Stellini. So It's an incredible number. Do you keep going around in circles replacing managers? But let me just give you these stats, Ricky, because everything you're saying, and I don't want to be accused here in the comments of Ange loving, but stats are stats and facts are facts. At this stage last season, we had more points. At this stage last season, we were in a better league position. And under Ange, we'd scored more goals, we conceded less, we'd had more shots on target, more touches in the opposition box. Less errors leading to goals, more progressive tackles and more through balls. So you're not on your own. I think there's a lot of people agreeing, but I feel personally, for me, I feel like this is a massive week for Thomas Frank, the Palace game and the Brentford game. But lastly, I've got two other things that I want to ask you. Review of 2025. Obviously, this is the episode that we're filming. Daniel Levy left the football club after 24 years. How would you describe Daniel Levy's time at the football club? And then after that, we'll talk about your hopes and dreams for 2026, ending on a positive.
I mean, look, for Daniel Levy, he did do a lot of good things. He did rubbish those things with a lot of bad things and with a lot of just things that just didn't make sense. He never was able to read the room after a negative result or a negative time. Next day it would be 25% off a skywalking, and you're like, come on, sunshine. But the good things that he did do: the training ground, the stadium, getting that hotel that's going to be built onto the stadium. I think we earn up to I think it's 5 million per match day. I saw that somewhere the other day. So I think it's like just under 5 million. I think we earn on a match day. So he's done tremendous to kind of turn the fortunes, and I mean fortunes, of Tottenham around and put us in a good place to now build on. I think it was a good time for him to go over the summer. And that's one of the positives right now, is that after that trophy, there's been so much change for us to go in a successful direction. That's the thing that I'm holding on to right now. The fact that they got rid of half of the board and they've replaced them, the CEOs, the director of footballs, coaches, scouts, the lot. There's been so much upheaval and change. And the reason behind that, from what we're hearing, is because we want to have a continued kind of successful, competitive seasons. We want to be a different Tottenham right now. Yeah. So that's really positive. We're just at a point right now where there a lot more needs to change for us to get us there. So Daniel done a lot to kind of keep us in a good stead, increase the amount of fans that get to come into the stadium, build a beautiful stadium, leave us in a place where we can actually jump and we can touch the stars if we jump high enough. Do you know what I mean? If they allow us to, we could touch the stars. So it's up to the Lewis family now, who have implemented all this change and who have let us know that this is a period of change, to show us now. So you've got a January window, you've got a summer window. It's all about what decisions they make now to take us forward. And it's still very, very bright, the potential of what we can be and where we can go. But we need that ruthless and kind of dynamic change that they're talking about up in that boardroom to start happening on the floor. And I think once we can see that as fans, I think we'll all be behind that, because we've all wanted that. We've been waiting for that for years.
Ricky, ending on a positive. When we talk about Daniel Levy's departure and what he brought to the football club, i.e. the training facilities, the stadium, which everybody mentions, by the way, not just Spurs fans, any just general football fan that just talks about it. The pundits, the radio stations, the TV companies, everyone always says Spurs, oh yeah, magnificent stadium, fantastic training facilities. But then, they go back to what Poch said about the furniture in the stadium. I feel like, the mood at the moment is pretty low. But as we've spoken about this on a podcast for many, many years, and the conversations that we have on the phone or face to face, that positivity can come back very quickly. A couple of results, a couple of really good performances, a good transfer window, and everyone's feeling on a high again. A good, FA Cup run, a good Champions League run. Whether some of those things that I've said are realistic or not, we know that things can change very quickly. The mood can be either really high, the mood can go really low. But this, and I completely agree with you about the board. The board now need to really step up in these next couple of transfer windows. And it's not just about what they say, it's about the actions, it's about what they do. And if they want us to be successful, and I use that phrase again, to be fighting on all fronts, they need to back a manager. And like I said earlier, all these managers that we keep going round, many people believe that it's not a good idea sacking Thomas Frank so early on in his Tottenham career. But I'm like you. You need to see signs. You need to see things game by game, week by week, month by month. You need to see progression. And I suppose the big question at the moment is, have Tottenham actually improved from this time last year under Ange when we had those 22 league defeats? Of course, we can hold on to we won the Europa League, but it's going to be tough winning a trophy this season. But to finish on a positive, it can be positive. It can be positive if we get the results and a good window. And what are your hopes and dreams for 2026? Where do you see Spurs, say, this time next year?
Yeah. Firstly, you're absolutely right that things can change. On the flip of a coin, bro. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. I want to smile when watching my team. I want to come on and chat all of the positive things that I see, and keep lauding those things rather than looking at the negative. Of course I do that. And that's ultimately what I would love to happen in 2026. I would love us to compete, bro. I would love to see a side that believes. And if they believe, then I'll believe. I want to see that board. I want to see some action from that board to give us some faith as well that things are changing. But those stats that you read out in comparison from Frank to Ange last year to this year, I mean, wow, bro. And Frank, he's got Kulusevski, Madison, and Solanke as injuries, as main injuries. But really, I'm like, so we need to see. I want to see what Frank's about, man. If Frank wanted this big job, he applied. He put forward the plans, and Tottenham was excited about it at the time. I mean, it was Levy's last appointment, wasn't it? So they were excited about it. So, but show me something. It came in about getting us more stable, sorting out the defense. Well, that happened for a couple of games, but then you just told me we've conceded more than what we did under Ange, and he's had the back five. We talk about attacking, and you've got two new attackers in the team. All right, Sonny's out, but you've got two new attackers in the team, and we haven't scored that many goals. We haven't had that many chances. So you've got to show me something, Frank, and show me that you can step up. Show me that the staff that you've brought in believe in you too. That and we start to see something rather than frustration. That Liverpool game, Chris, was frustration. It was frustration. Yep. They had enough. And like you say, that Xavi red, I didn't see it as a red. For me, it was a yellow. You look at Van Dijk and the amount of times that he's either elbowed or scraped somebody's calf against us. It doesn't even get a blink. People don't even chat about it online. It's just passed over. So, and then you see Romero, and Romero is that guy. He will flip. He will throw himself into a tackle to get everybody going and to get himself going when he's super frustrated. We saw it under Ange at times where he was super frustrated with the results and the football going on. You've seen it a couple of times. So it was a little kick out. I think that the who is it, Konate? I think that he sold us. He sold Romero. He knows how to. He was already wound up at that point, so yep. it was easy to kind of get a reaction off of him. So okay, cool. All right, so it's another defeat. It's another low point. It's been one of the worst Christmas football periods in a long time under Frank. And, you know, yes, we've had injuries before and we've had a whole heap of injuries, but this has been something else. So it's now up to you, Frank, and the boys to step up. Show us. I want to shout for you. I want to sing for you. I want to smile for you. I want to be proud on the street when talking about you. You know, in a football argument with friends, I want to be able to back my team. But what can I say? Chris, after 10 games of any, and I've said this to you many a time, but after 10 games of any new manager coming in, that's normally where I have an idea and I can judge that manager a little bit. Do you know what I mean? 10 Premier League games, not Cup, 10 Premier League games. And still, I still don't know what we are. I still don't know who we are.
I get what you mean when you have arguments with people, and particularly when I do these media interviews and they're dissing Spurs. You've always got stuff to say. Yeah, but this. Yeah, but this. Yeah, but this. You've got arguments back. But at the moment, I don't think we've got a lot to defend, and that's the issue at the moment. And I think that's what we're all struggling with.
Yeah.
Ricky, it's been a fantastic year in terms of things for you personally, because you've had a very busy year. Of course, you started this new podcast with your good friend Darren as well. Of course, you're still a channel regular here every week after most games. It's been great for this podcast and this channel. We're literally 200 subscribers away from 200,000, which is absolutely mental. You know, when you think about, you know, where all this started and now where we are. So a big thank you to everybody who does subscribe to this channel. But lastly, tell everyone in a nutshell what you've been up to in 2025 and what's next for you.
Well, firstly, it's always an honor and a pleasure to be on this podcast with yourself and the panel that we regularly have. I think that, you know, the hard work that you do, bro, up and down the country, you know, drinking beers with Bentley. Some of us have to do it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just happy it's you. No, I love it. I love being on as a regular on this podcast and having a giggle. We need to catch up real soon so that we can have a couple more giggles. This year, yeah, it's been a busy one. So I have filmed. So I done a Christmas film last year. They were aiming to be out this year, but it's not happening. But 100% next year, 2026, this Christmas film will be coming out. I'll do an announcement over that. But I also filmed my first horror film this year, Aladdin. It's called Aladdin the Monkey's Paw, but it's the horror version of Aladdin. And that was super fun because I was doing things and asked to do things that I haven't done before and going to places that I haven't done. So that was super fun and challenging to do. Really awesome. Also been working on some things in the background, which I'll tell you in January. But yeah, so Tea Talk and Tottenham, started Tea Talk and Tottenham this year with my good friend Darren Hart. You know, me and him have grown up together, and we normally give, over the years, it's normally been a WhatsApp or a long ass phone call, a voice note or a long ass phone call of therapy sessions over the years. So we just wanted to just to be together again because we keep missing each other. So we've started up a Tea Talk and Tottenham, which is a Tottenham chat, but we talk about what's happened before. So in the last 10 to 14 days, and to see whether this roller coaster is getting any better or any worse. But yeah, just a fun chat and a fun couple of rants. So that's going on too. And then I am hosting. So I managed to host a couple of events this year, one with Danny Dyer and a charity event with loads of people that turn up. Blue was there, Sam Bailey was there. There was a ton of people up there. Really cool event. It's called the Iron Strength Charitable Trust. But I nearly forgot it then. But yeah, so done that, and then over this Christmas period of time. So Saturday, where am I? Saturday, I'm in Croydon. So Croydon Mecca Bingo. If you're around Croydon, come down. We're having a reggae lovers rock night with some bingo involved, and Miss Sandra Cross, who's one of the lovers rock queens, she's going to be performing live. And then I'll be doing one New Year's Eve as well. So New Year's Eve I'll be in Harlow. So if you're around Harlow, I'll be at Mecca Bingo Harlow. That goes until 2-3 in the morning, so we're going to be getting down. It's always with fantastic DJs, and it's a really good, really fun night. It's funny though, I'll tell you just one thing before we go. It's funny, Chris, how it goes from super lovely to super serious real quick. I walk in and everyone's like, oh, can I get a picture and stuff like that? And everyone's lovely. Oh, lovely, love it. Merry Christmas. Da, da, da. Once that bingo starts, bruv, they get so serious, man.
Yeah.
And if I mess up on the number, mate, if I mess up on the number, the looks that I've been getting from these lovely people that were just rubbing my back. They were just holding on to me and rubbing my back. But now they're looking at me like they're going to kill me. So, but always loads of fun. So I was in Dagenham the weekend just gone, Mecca Bingo, and Wayne Marshall, who used to sing this tune G-Spot back in the day. Now, if you're an R&B slow jam lover, that tune back in the day, my goodness. So that was popping off on Saturday. So yes, I'm keeping super busy. 2026 is going to be super busy. I just can't wait to hook up with you, Chris, and Gaz and Daz and Craig and the boys, and have a drink and have a catch up and celebrate the 200,000 people that have subbed and commented and liked and shared and been with us on this journey, bro. Been with you since you've been talking about panels on that damn stadium up until right now. That's amazing. Thank you to all of you, man. You guys, whether we agree or disagree, it's all love. We all support Tottenham Hotspur and we all love them to our core, and that's all that matters. And so it's just beautiful to be part of this community and to have regular therapy sessions. Absolutely.
And there have been therapy sessions. Yeah, Melvin says that a lot, actually. Thank you for my free therapy session. But yeah, there've been a lot of good podcasts this year, but there have been some difficult ones as well. But I hope that explains why Ricky isn't on some of the aftermatch podcasts, because he's a busy boy. He's all over the place. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ricky.
You got to keep busy, mate. You got to keep
of course.
Busy. But I will always be here on the Spurs Chat channel and Chat Podcast, and I'll always be a regular here, man. So that is a blessing, and I'm so thankful to you, Chris, for setting it up and giving us the platform to rant and rave and to build this community. It's a beautiful thing.
I just want people like you
to finish on.
I want people like you, particularly you, to be smiling, because it's unusual for you to talk about Spurs in such a way that you have done on this short show that we've done. But of course, we'll be sharing a drink together in Germany in January. So look forward to another mad and weird match day vlog of us getting thrown out of our hotel or locked out of our hotel. Yeah. Another story.
We're not allowed to tell that story, Chris. We're not allowed to tell it. Maybe when we get to 200,000, maybe we'll tell it. Maybe.
That's it. Ricky, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and the family. And hopefully you'll get a lot of Tottenham Hotspur related gifts on Christmas Day.
Come on, you Spurs. Sending you all big love. Chris, send the family big love for me. Send Popsy, send Harry, send everybody big love for me. And again, have a great one, bro. Rest up. Don't do no blogs or vlogs tomorrow. Please, just rest your bones and enjoy the day with your family. Okay?
I can't promise that. There'll be regular content every single day on this channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, and thank you so much for all of your incredible support. As Ricky said, to getting so close to 200k is just a dream come true, and never expected it to go this far. Never even expected to be doing YouTube in 2025 or 2026. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. But we spoke about some real positives in this channel, on this channel today, on this episode of winning the Europa League, and the Son moments will live with us forever, and that parade was incredible. So hopefully more success is not that far away. I know things are a bit doom and gloom at the moment, but things can only get better, as they say. Ricky, Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a great festive period with the family and friends, and remember, if you are alone, remember to talk to people and have good people to talk to, and have people around you, and enjoy the festive period, and Happy New Year to everyone. So until the next one, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.